Oh, it's cold and it's early and I'm at St Pancras International. So it's about 5 AM and I'm about to catch a train I've always wanted to travel on, the Eurostar. But I always suspected that I would catch one to Paris. However, I'm not. I'm instead going to the Netherlands for the first time, with our first stop being Stratford International. Oh, who am I kidding? There's no international trains that have ever stopped there. Our first stop is Brussels, so join me for an epic 4-day adventure in Amsterdam. Whoa, get that number off the screen. We only count stations in Great Britain. Although this is my first international train travel, so I guess the number is accurate in this case. So first things first, we want to buy a ticket. So English, we'll buy a 72-hour 3-day ticket, which for £21.50 I think is pretty good value for money. That gets me on all the trams, buses and metros over the next 3 days. Saying that though, I'm going to get an entirely different transport method, which I don't need this for because it's free, and that is the boat, the ferry on the other side of the station. So already I'm spotting things that I know of, such as the Amsterdam or Adam lookout tower, where right at the top there is a swing that you can go on, which swings you out quite precariously over the edge of the building. It's quite strange to cross over and immediately this area be so much more quiet in comparison to the hustle and bustle around Amsterdam Central Station. And from here I'm just going to head up alongside the river so that I could catch the metro. So what I was going to do was ride more of the ferries because there is quite a few across the river, but my Eurostar train was 1 hour delayed, which isn't ideal. But I was considering riding the ferries again at night time anyways because it's a totally different experience, so we'll just do it then. Right now though, I've caught the M52 metro, which is the newest one in Amsterdam. There's 5 from M50 to M54. This one opened in 2018 and is the only one to go across the river from Amsterdam Central. So I've just caught it one stop to the terminus at Noord, and I'm going to reverse now back to Amsterdam. I do plan, as best as I can, to ride all of the metro and tram lines in Amsterdam, because that's just me. I'm a bit of a completionist like that. In fact, there's a bendy bus here, and it's been many years since I've caught one of these in London, that I think I will just back to the other stop I got on at, Noorder Park.
GJ Scheurleerweg, Nieuwe Noorder Begraafplaats. Overstappen op bus 36.
So this is something unlike London. I actually need to touch out of a bus or tram, and it has deposited me right back at Noorder Park station. I've just missed that metro. So I'm back at Amsterdam Central, and it feels like I've already used every transport mode because now we're going to go get on the trams. And I mean, the trams just dominate outside of Central Station, really. Except we've already hit a bit of a problem, and that is I can't quite be a completionist because not all the trams are running. I wanted to get off at the Westermarket stop. I've had to get off at the one before, which is simply just called Dam. Because yes, there was a dam here back in the 13th century. It's home to Dam Square nowadays, where there's many notable features of Amsterdam, including the Royal Palace behind me, which was originally built as a town hall in the 16th century. I'm spotting a Madame Tussauds, I'm spotting a World War II war memorial, I'm spotting a fancy department store. It's great. Now, it hasn't taken too long to start getting some of the iconic shots of Amsterdam's canals. Ooh. Right. Well, Spoorwegstraat here was filled in 1867. It's no longer a canal. That's more like it. And there are several of these which encircle the city centre at Amsterdam, which I'm sure we'll encounter time and time again on my adventure. Now, it's this work here which is exactly why I couldn't catch the tram up to Westermarket, but I've walked here on foot. Now, the canals of Amsterdam are iconic enough that they've featured in a lot of media. Most notably for me, I'd say, is The Fault in Our Stars, which the Anne Frank house over there features in a lot as well. Apparently that sells out really quickly, like it can sell out up to 6 weeks in advance. So I've walked a good half an hour, I'd say, up the canals to the end of Tram 13 at Zoetkiedsgracht. And to cover a bit of ground now, I'm going to ride the full length of this tram. What I've noticed about the tram so far is that you can only use select doors, which is interesting. And also, most of them only have doors on one side, because at the terminus, they just kind of loop around and there's not really any island platforms. So they only need doors on one side. Oh, my tram's actually here. This is also not the normal terminus of the 13 because of the Westermarket closure. A lot of them are on diversion or covering other routes, so it was a little tricky to kind of plan a route which included as many sections as I possibly can. Other things I've noticed about the trams is that they each have a specific colour to go with their route number. The stops themselves don't really have any signs to tell you which ones they are, apart from the name on the map here. And apparently there are 500 stops across the network. Now, I don't know if that's exactly true or whether they take into account like staggered stops on either side of the road and that kind of counts as 2 different stops. There's also only 15 routes, though the route numbers go from 1 to 26, so some of them don't exist or have been withdrawn. That's the best named stop so far. 19 has newer trams, it seems. So intriguingly, with the new trams, you can actually use all the doors, and they have ones on both sides, because here at the terminus at Sloterdijk, it is actually, well, it's kind of like a bay platform almost. So the Netherlands is very well known for how much they like their bikes, and I don't think there's a better example to showcase that than here at Sloterdijk station. Just over here actually is a couple of train carriages that did actually come up when I was looking at hotels to stay in for this trip. At some point during this video, I was going to say that no trip to the Netherlands is complete until you find a windmill. Well, I wasn't expecting to find one right now. There'll be more windmills in this video, is what I'm trying to get at. I've walked probably a good mile and a half up from Sloterdijk into Westerpark, where I've grossly underestimated how long this is going to take because it's already gotten dark. But what I wanted to come and see here was the site of some former gas holders, which you can now walk around. This is pretty cool. It's like a boardwalk. I should probably just turn the flashlight on, shouldn't I? There you go. Just across the road from Westerpark is an old water tower that can be classified as Amsterdam's smallest hotel. So from an old train carriage to an old water tower, my hotel is going to be very vanilla in comparison. The water tower is right beside the terminus of Tram 5 at Van Halstraat, and even though it's getting dark, I'm going to keep going and we're going to ride the full route. I can hear a tram. Oh, it's coming from this side. So Route 5 and 13 have changed termini recently. So Route 5 runs the new trams as well. It is the end of the line. They can't just loop around here. And strangely, this terminus does actually have signs. So Orangaban is the junction between Tram 5 and Tram 25, where the signs really do give it the vibe of a metro station. Well, in this case, it was. Until 2020, it was part of Metro 51. Actually, I suspect that this sticker is covering up a Metro logo. Essentially though, there was a discrepancy in the height between the lower floor trams and the Metro trains along this stretch. So they replaced it with a brand new Tram 25, and Metro 51 was diverted to follow a different Metro line, basically back towards Sloterdijk. The trams on Route 25 are actually unique. They are the only ones to have this certain livery, and it even has the newest extension on the network, extending beyond Westwijk in July 2024. It is not going to hold that title for long though. I thought for a second that this said I was not allowed to take any photos or filming at all, but it does just mention staff specifically. So this is the new extremity of the Amsterdam trams, without a doubt the furthest point from Amsterdam, so I'm beginning to question why I'm here so late. If you continue just beyond the tram stop though, you do come across a reference to Amsterdam in the form of a river which helped give it its name. This is the River Amstel. The stop after Westwijk on the extension, I want to confidently say, is the biggest gap between any two stops on the Amsterdam trams. So I've rode the full 25 tram route back to its terminus at Amsterdam Zuid, where I can change onto the metro because it's the southern terminus of the 52 line. So considering we travelled on the northern section this morning, why not travel on the rest of it now? This is giving me strong vibes of Canary Wharf, by the way. I like that feature, by the way, highlighting the stops en route. This journey is going to include a stop at Europaplein, which was the only one to be built using a cut and cover method, and then almost ironically right next door at the Pipe, that is the deepest station in the Netherlands. This is a vibey station, they're playing music and everything. I thought I'd get off at Rokin instead of Amsterdam, just for the sake of it. What I want to do is basically spend the night here exploring the city centre. So what I'm going to do now is walk on down to the Montoren Tower. This used to be part of the city's walls that defended the city. And then I'm going to head up the red light district for absolutely no other purpose than to just explore the area, I promise. Then I'll walk by the Oude Kerk, which I think is the largest church in Amsterdam, and I'll take what I found on like a hidden secret list of places in Amsterdam, which is the Beurs Passage, which will essentially take me back through towards Dam Square, where I'm going to end my day, kind of bookending where we first got off the tram in the first place. Sorry for what was probably quite an abrupt ending to day one, but essentially because I've been filming since 5 AM and I didn't charge my phone on the Eurostar, it was starting to run low on charge, so I kind of had to speed run the footage a little bit at the end. But I had a lovely evening wandering around the city centre canals. What I ended up doing was catching Tram 17 because my hotel is quite far out of the city in Oosterplein. And of course, I went to the end of the route and then reversed just to tick it off in its entirety. It's only 5 minutes past my hotel anyways. It's a lovely and relatively easy and cheap hotel room. Everything that you'd kind of expect. There were cheaper options where you could stay in a shared hostel and essentially bunk with someone, and then you'd kind of have to put your bags and stuff in a locker so no one can take them. I mean, I'd rather pay just a tiny little bit more to have my own kind of personal space. It's nicer this way. Plus, I found this little Netherlands flag on the floor, so I thought I'd decorate the place. And hopefully this time we have no problem with my phone's battery, even though this time I have the full day in Amsterdam, which I'm very much looking forward to, so let's go. I also like the location of my hotel because of its close proximity to this lake here, where I'm going to take a nice chilly morning walk all the way up it, because there are also several tram lines around here, so at the top I can get on the number 7. I feel like I'm doing a lot of 1.5 mile walks, but this one has brought me down to a sandy beach on the other side of the lake, which is just glorious. Okay, here's our first tram of the day on Route 7. We're going to do a bit of an explore of this specific route because there are a few stops, a few things I want to look out for along the way. Okay, slightly scary moment to begin with. My tram actually hit a cyclist. She's okay, she's being tended to, but in the meantime they've kicked everyone off of the tram. My first stop was going to be, I think it's Erasmusgracht Park. I was just going to do a quick explore around that, but I've noticed that's essentially just around the corner, and that this river, which runs to the north of the park, was literally just one street away from me. So I've walked down to it. I'm going to head along to the park, but I don't, as of yet, know what this is going to mean for when I want to jump back on a 7 tram afterwards. I was hoping that this might be a good sign because it says there's one in 1 minute, but it's also saying the stop is not served by tram 7 because the route is blocked. I might have to try and find a different way. Such is the extensiveness of Amsterdam's tram network that one road down, our trusty 13 from yesterday, runs perpendicular, so I can just catch this and then walk south to where I want to go rather than walk north from tram 7. What I wanted to come and see was De Holen, which is a former tram depot, which I now believe is some sort of like shopping plaza area. Oh, Food Holen. De Holen. Okay, I think I know what it is. Oh yeah, this is cool. The former tram tracks run straight through the food hall. Yeah, I like this spot. It is rather empty right now though, because it's still quite early in the morning. I can't believe it's taken until now for me to realise that on these older trams where you only need a driver's cab at one end, if you come to the back, you get a great view. And yes, I was on a tram 7, which I hope is good news, meaning that the cyclist is now well and safe. And it's brought me to, weirdly, what looks to be a very temporary platform. There's a reason for it. So tram 7 is another one which is on diversion. It usually heads out to the eastern docklands, I presume because of roadworks it's not doing that, and instead doing quite a considerable loop around Eurostar Park. And so I suspect there's not usually a stop here, but they've had to implement one so that they can terminate the trams and turn them back around en route. And if I just head up this beautiful little river from the terminus, there's something I want to go and have a look at. It's here where you find a magnificent De Goeje windmill, which is the tallest wooden mill in the Netherlands. This would be my first one of the trip if I didn't accidentally stumble across one yesterday. A quick walk through Eurostar Park now will bring me to tram 19, where we travelled on the northern section to Sloterdijk yesterday, so let's now travel on the southern section. I will say that these new trams are not as comfortable to sit on in longer durations of time. I've come down to Demon Sneap and I'm reversing. I will say I like the sections of tram tracks where they've let grass grow underneath. This makes it look a little bit more beautiful. I've bailed on a return journey just to take a quick walk through, I think, Frankendal Park, just up to the next tram stop. Oh, that's interesting. We've got an old tram on the 19 here. I guess that means it can't open both of the doors at the island platform at Sloterdijk. You know, I keep making the mistake of knowing which direction I want to travel in, waiting on the left side platform, and then seeing a tram come the other way and go, oh yeah, they don't run on the left. So changed at Eurostar Park to get the 3 to Flevo Park. It's a lot of parks and there'll be a lot more to come. This is the first tram line so far where its signature colour has just been one colour, yellow. Also, I've not seen them actually scroll the destination before. That's how long the terminus is. This is the first tiny little section only, which feels like a proper railway rather than a tram. Oh, well, I'm really glad I walked down this way. Flevo Park is amazing. I think just on that crest over there is a river. Oh yeah. Wow. I love this. This might be my favourite terminus of any of the trams so far. And in fact, we are now going to ride the 3 in full for the complete return journey. This was one of those confusing points when I was trying to plan this trip, because it looks like on Google Maps the 3 is represented as a purple line and continues up to either the 5 or the 13 terminus. We found that yesterday they kind of swapped around. But both of them are shown as purple lines, so I didn't really know what was going on when I was like clicking on a stop and it was coming up as a different colour and it was ending here, and so it was all just a bit of a mess. And there's a lot of instances like this across Amsterdam where the tracks are still there, but they're just not used anymore at the moment, because I think that road over there is actually the one that the 5/13 takes. Not far from the terminus of Route 3 lies the Otter windmill, which dates from 1631 and is just a beautiful old modest mill. I really like it. Wow, it's pretty incredible. I've walked down the water's edge and it's just a huge junction of waterways. 1, 2 ways there, 3 over there, 4, 5 that way. So I've caught the lucky 13 tram again, and I'm now going to visit some of the more well-known parks, both actually, the well-known parks of Amsterdam, starting with Rembrandt Park, named after a famous painter from the 16th century, and this is much more considerable in size than the other ones I visited so far. Rembrandt Park leads into Vondel Park, which is the big one, the well-known one, the one that everybody comes to. This is pretty cool. Every path here is hexagonal shaped. This opened as New Park, original, I know, in 1865, but 2 years later they placed a statue here of Vondel, who was a playwright, and essentially ever since the park has just adopted that nickname. So I've headed on over to the museum plane. This really is like the tourist hub of Amsterdam, with Vondel Park and some of its iconic museums here, such as the Rijksmuseum. I had no idea that building was so fantastic, as well as the Vincent van Gogh Museum behind me, which does house a lot of his original artwork. You might have realised by now, if you're new here, I'm not kind of the typical tourist that visits these places. I much more enjoy kind of just wandering around, exploring, just seeing what a place has to offer. But I do really like Vincent's artwork. I've not seen many episodes of Doctor Who, but one of them I've seen essentially tells the story of Vincent van Gogh. It's a tragic story, but a beautiful episode. Well, after completing my longest walk of the trip actually so far, I've jumped back on the trams, the 12 to be precise, to Amstel station, where yes, the River Amstel is present, but also the Rembrandt Tower, the tallest building in the city of Amsterdam. It's very One Canada Square-esque, but just without the pyramid top. And unlike the food hall this morning, this area does still have a functioning tram depot. And here's the entrance around the back, where all the tracks quite quickly just turn into one. And almost undoubtedly, if we follow these, we'll find another tram stop. It's interesting that the 4 tram says Station RAI on the front. What does that stand for, by the way? Even though it actually goes one stop beyond to Drenthe Park, which probably has the most significant curve of any platform out of the stops I've seen. And there is a park here that backs out onto the River Amstel again. Now, what I thought about doing is heading off down this, because there is another windmill. But quite frankly, we're starting to lose the light. I've already seen some other beautiful windmills. I feel like I've done quite the fair share of walking and we've still got more to do. I'm happy to kind of miss this out. And I'll just do a bit of a loop around in Amstel Park to get back to the tram. Oh, well, I'm liking Amstel Park because you've got the river, you got some farm animals here. It's even got a miniature railway. Is this maybe like a hidden gem park of Amsterdam, perhaps? Park! Just in case you didn't know, this is a park. What in the freak is that tower? Well, I'm liking Rembrandt Lane, or as it says in English up there, Rembrandt Square. This is a neat little spot. I've bailed on the 4 here because essentially past this point it becomes a central section towards Amsterdam that I have or will ride on other routes. I just wanted to get the unique section done, but I am going to do a little bit of a reversal here. I had an 8-minute wait, so I thought I'd walk up to the next stop so that I can show you that this section is intriguingly single track until it separates into 2 at the platforms that sit above the canals. Okay, I've definitely left it too late, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to head straight down the Albert Kuip Market, which is the largest market in the Netherlands. The street and the market stalls just keep going and going and going, and yet I'm not going to have a single opportunity to buy anything. I'm in the 200s of market stalls. That's a long way to go. What? The market's been infested with herons. You know what it is? I reckon there was a fish stall around here. They could smell it. So I jumped on a tram 14 to its terminus, which is replacing the 24 right now because of all the roadworks and whatnot. That service isn't running at all. And nearby to it, there's a huge site, a huge park, huge woods with several lakes in it. I'm just going to say it how it's spelt to me. It's called Het Amsterdamse Bos. And it is 3 times the size of Central Park in New York. I would love to visit it. It would be like a whole day just to kind of see everything it has to offer. And I thought about popping in just to see one of the lakes quickly, but it's dark, you wouldn't really see much, so I'm not going to do that, and instead just focus on something which at first I thought might be a disused railway line or a disused tram line, but is instead a heritage tram line that runs kind of throughout spring and summer. I'm off season, I'm not going to see a really old tram unfortunately, but intriguingly it does have its own number and colour combination. It's line 30. I wonder if I just, I was going to say peer over and have a look in to see if there's one in there, but I think that's one. If I turn flashlight on, would that work? No, not... Slightly maybe. So the heritage tram line usually runs into a former railway station called Haarlemmermeer. I'll walk up to have a look at it, but right now I think they're doing a lot of construction work around it for new apartments. So the tram line has had to be curtailed and they built this little shelter. Oh, well, that's clearly not a tram. On the walk to Haarlemmermeer, or whatever it was called, you pass by an Olympic stadium which looks quite old. It's definitely not as modern as London's 2012 one. Well, this dates from 1928, the only time that the Netherlands ever hosted the Olympics. Okay, I'm on tram 14 back to Central Station. There's just one more thing I want to do tonight, and that is catch a boat. I said I would at night. I want to go for a slightly longer journey this time. It's about 12 minutes up to NSDM Wharf, which was once the largest shipyard in Europe until its closure in 1980. From there there's another boat which just hops over the river, and then there's one which does the same thing from there to a slightly different location. Even right next to the one between Central Station and the Adam Lookout Tower, there's another one literally like 2 minutes on the other side of the station that does basically the same thing. There's not a real point for me to do all of them because they're all in close proximity to each other. I'm not a complete completionist in that sense, but I will do the one to the wharf, and I suspect that I've probably overlaid footage of that already, which means I've recorded an outro before actually recording the outro again. I promise I have charge on my phone this time though. Actually, I do have a different outro clip for you. For the sake of getting a different route, I rode the full length of the number 2, which is both the busiest tram I've been on so far, but also what is apparently the most scenic tram ride in Amsterdam. From here, I can literally just walk straight up towards my hotel as well. Hi, can we just bring back that map again from last night, please? You'll spot that there's another tram line on there, a red one. So I've decided this morning just to nip out to the end of that quickly at Matterhorn. There's a mountain called that in Switzerland, which is the end of line 1. And now I'm just going to ride the full length of it back into the city at Amsterdam. I'm also wearing orange today, by the way, the national colour of the Netherlands. I thought I'd represent it. So I think tram 1 is another one that's diverted at the moment. That's why it kind of looks like a very basic platform. This and tram 14, which we did last night, I think usually does the loop around Eurostar Park that the 7 now does completely. In fact, this is a 14 that's passing. That's kind of heavily diverted at the moment. Route 1 does bring you to the oldest zoo in the Netherlands though. Yeah, there's a lot of work taking place here, for example, but you do also find one of the world's oldest botanical gardens here in Amsterdam. Founded in 1638, it was originally a medicinal garden for doctors. This is the Jewish quarter of the city. I've come across a beautiful memorial here that is just full of the names of victims from the Holocaust. It's genuinely quite surprising to see just how many there were, including Anne Frank herself down there. I really like these graphics. This is what's missing from London Waterloo Station. Right, let's jump on the metro. Okay, so I'm back at Amsterdam Central, and apart from travelling on Route 1 to begin with, I feel like I have a much easier day today. There's only one other tram line I want to travel on, that is the 26 out to Eiburg, and then after that it's just basically complete the other metro lines. There's a little bit of a teaser of it. We'll travel on the rest of them later. This is the tram line I've been looking forward to travelling on the most because it's just the most unique. It's so separate to the rest of the network, and I reckon pretty scenic too. So what's so fascinating about Tram 26 is that Eiburg is land that has been reclaimed from the seas, essentially an artificial man-made island. That's why it all looks relatively new. Because of that, it's quite a cut-off area, so people heavily rely on this tram to get them into Amsterdam, which makes it the busiest route on the network. So busy, in fact, that they actually couple up two trams to run together. But at 11 AM on a tram heading away from the city, it was very quiet and very nice to just hang out at the back of the tram. And you can see that we are still expanding. We are continuing to reclaim land from the sea. This is Strand Island, I think, out that way, that island, and literally only in a couple of weeks, hopefully by the end of the month, Tram 26 will be extended over there to serve it. So yeah, I definitely can't be a completionist. I've crossed on over to the other side of the island because there's a Drenthe Park which just looked too appetizing to to miss out before we jump back on the tram. I'm so glad the weather is really nice, by the way. I mean, because I'd planned this trip in advance, you know, I had no idea what it was going to be like, and at one point it looked like it was going to be raining and windy, but this is just glorious. I even made it down to a little sandy beach by the water, reminiscent of my lake near my hotel. I bailed on the return journey at Zuiderzee, I think, which you can tell is another new area. It's strange that you have this path here and then all of a sudden it just becomes a muddy, grassy bank. Like, why is there no short set of stairs that can lead you to the free ferry service? Yes, there's another one here, and that essentially exists to combat the fact that there's no pedestrian access through the Tram road tunnel. I have a feeling this might be one of the lesser used ferry services in Amsterdam. I really wish the Woolwich ferry was this efficient. This is Amsterdam's newest ferry service. It began operation in 2023. Numbered the F9, I've noticed on the map there's no F8 for some reason. This is a strangely designed bridge on the other side of the river. It's not a complete arch, it dips down twice. Being on this side allows me to access the eastern docklands that I couldn't access on Tram 7, as it doesn't come here currently. You can also get another ferry service here, which I've just missed. But to be honest, I don't really mind just hanging out here by the water for 20 minutes to wait for it to come back, only for me to then travel on it and come back, because there's not really any other transport links over that side. Well, a bus I guess, but... Okay, now that I'm back across, what I was going to do was walk up alongside the river and then jump back on a tram 26 to Central Station, but I think in only a couple of minutes time there will be a bus from just over here that will do that instead. Okay, so I've jumped on Metro 53 all the way down to the terminus at Gasperplatz, and the plan is now, I've spotted that the other metro lines terminate not too far away, and in between both of them is a giant lake. So you know I'm going to walk between the two termini around that lake. Let's go. I was going to say it's fantastic. The station literally brings you straight out into the park, but then no, there's more work taking place, so I have to take a slightly different route. I thought cutting through the play park would work, because it seems like there's paths which do that, but then you just met with a padlocked gate. But luckily I'm skinny enough to squeeze through that, and I know from looking at Strava heat maps that people have walked through here, so I'm hoping I should be okay. I mean, there's another sign for works, but at this point there's going to be footpaths kind of in any direction, so I should be able to avoid them. Anyways, look, there's footpath signs and stuff. Oh, okay, I see what they're doing in here. It looks like they're building some new footpaths. Oh wow, well, I finally made it to the lake and it is glorious. Okay, let's go for a bit of walk and find the metro station, I guess. Oh, there's even another tiny little beach here. It's almost as if the three we've seen have been foreshadowing the final day. What, they got a slide into the water here. I was gonna say I'd have so much fun on that as a kid, but even now I'd enjoy it. Maybe not right now, it'd be too cold in the water, but summer, yeah, definitely. Okay, so I've made it to Gyn station, and the plan is now to complete the metro. So we're going to catch the M50 to Isolatorweg. That section opened in 1997, and then we'll get the M51 big loop all the way back around to Central Station. The first section of the metro was lines 53 and 54 as far as Westerplein in 1977, and then the extension to Central Station came in 1980. M51 came about in 1990, but of course we now know that's taken a different route since, and that's become the Tram 25, and then the final section, which is how my journey began, was the M52 opening in 2018.
Let op de ruimte tussen de metro en het perron. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
I've gotten off at Newmarket, which is the stop before Central on the return, just because this station looks a little bit different. It features artwork that depicts demolition, because there were local protests held during the construction of this station because it essentially destroyed the neighbourhood. These protests did lead to further expansion plans for the metro falling through as well. And the plan from here for my final night in the city is to just head upstairs and walk through Chinatown to Amsterdam Central, where I'm going to do a looped walk on the canals, because I feel like I haven't featured them too much, going through the 9 streets, which is literally a bunch of streets that intersect all of the different canals. There is currently the Amsterdam Light Festival. I didn't know of this, I only found out last week. It's essentially a winter lights trail, and it just so happens to literally take the route which I was going to walk. So you know we're gonna do that. Stop, it's too late. I don't know the words to this bit. Ah, wrong card.
It's too late, I'm feeling frustrated. I see no sign of fortress, I see no sign of fortress. It's too late, I'm feeling frustrated. I see no sign of fortress, I see no sign of fortress. It's too late, I'm feeling frustrated. I see no sign of fortress, I see no sign of fortress. It's too late, I'm feeling frustrated. I see no sign of fortress, I see no sign of fortress.
Good morning. It's my last day. I've just checked out my hotel and I'm heading for what has become my local tram stop in the last few days. Not that I've used it much, at Osdorplain West, where I have, as best as I can, ridden on every part of the Amsterdam tram network, all 15 lines, except Tram 24 isn't currently running. But in fact, I've actually missed one out. I've not been on Tram 27, where bizarrely, it only runs in the morning peak. Good thing my hotel is here then. And it strangely just follows a section of Tram 17, no unique section, presumably so that it can provide extra capacity out here in the suburbs. But then if it was to head all the way into the centre of Amsterdam, it can get a little bit congested. So let's start for a ride on that this morning. That was pretty busy until station Lelystad, where basically everybody got off, and I have to change at Suriname Plain, the terminus, to continue on a 17 into Amsterdam. Well, I think I've just gotten off my last tram, which is a bit of a shame, but look how beautiful of a foggy morning this is. It's incredible. There's just one thing I want to have a quick look at, because I didn't get a chance when I'm in the city at night time as it's closed. It is Beijinghof. It keeps coming up on like hidden places to see in Amsterdam, which if it's on every list is not really much of a secret anymore, but it's just a really old courtyard. It does house the city's oldest wooden house, by the way. I'm having to keep my voice down because it is just a local residence area. I'm getting one last metro though from Rokin station. I didn't spot all this last time. I've noticed at Central Station here that there's a set of stairs beside the escalator, but then on the other side there's not, at least not anymore, and that's presumably because they've had to build the connection through to the M52 metro in 2018. And so that's kind of it. My Amsterdam explores have come to an end, but I'm not about to go and catch the Eurostar. I'm going to catch a different type of train, because for my last day I've decided to go for a bit of a walk. Is it a smart idea to go for my longest walk of the trip whilst my bag's at its heaviest because I can't leave anything in a hotel room? No. Am I going to do it anyways? Yes! No, I told you before, we're not doing this. This is a delightful little station. Sandbord Sud. Right, should we head off on our walk? It's a relatively simple walk, and I've already come across my first destination, Brederode Castle. Built in the 13th century, it's mostly a ruin now, and it just looks epic in this fog. Oh my lord. I think I've chosen the best day to do this walk. I spotted this huge national park on the map and it just appealed to me. I wanted to head out here. I wanted to do a proper Dutch walk rather than just hop about on its transport the entire time. And I'm so glad I did. You can barely see the other side of the lake. There's just the one lone tree on the beach over there. Can you spot it? That's where I was. I'm beginning to question just how flat the Netherlands really is, because this was quite the climb up. I feel like I'm going to keep saying it, but what else can I say apart from just how incredible the views are in the fog? To be fair, this summit is only about 30 meters high, but with the low cloud you would think I'm on top of a mountain. You know, it was supposed to be a nice sunny morning, which would have been perfect weather for this walk. But I'm actually kind of glad that it isn't, because I don't get many opportunities to walk through fog like this. Okay, I think this might be it over this ridge. Let's get my live reaction, because it is not just the national park that I'm walking through today, but it is also... there's more ridges. Okay, it'll be behind this ridge, so let's build it up again. There is also the coast. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, that tide is out, boy. I've lucked out with how beautiful this is. This is amazing. I've got about, I say at least 3 miles of just coast walk to get to Zandvoort. When I saw how close Amsterdam was to the coast, it was a no-brainer for me to come and visit it, really. From Zandvoort, there's trains every half hour. That takes half an hour to get back to Amsterdam, which I'll have plenty of time for before my Eurostar train at 6:40, even with the passport and security controls. England's over there somewhere. I've got to go back there later. I love this so much. If I've got 3 miles of just this, then this is the best walk ever. See, normally on a visit to the beach I would put my feet in the sea, but you know, it is December, so well, what better place than sat on the beach to give my final summing up thoughts of Amsterdam. First things first, I love this city. I love that cycling and the trams are the kind of dominant travel options. You essentially never get stuck in traffic jams, as from my experience at least. I'm kind of not looking forward to going back to London and getting on a bus and being stuck at the same traffic light 7 times over. The trams are almost always on time. They're very efficient, and the railway network, well, from the one journey I've taken so far, seems to be really quite good as well. I will say, with a number of cycle lanes and tram tracks, and obviously there's still roads with cars on, it can be a little stressful sometimes to actually cross the road, because you don't know what way they're coming from. They can come from any direction. Something which I think I've taken for granted that we have in England, and I feel like should be more widespread, is that at crossings, they tell you which way to look. That would be handy here. Also, you have no idea if someone's pressed the button to stop the traffic. At least in England, you get the big flashing orange wait sign. Also, the cars which are still around do have to park somewhere, and in a lot of cases, it is right by the Canals edge. So it's not like how we have like tow paths all the way along the canals. Sometimes you can't walk directly next to them, which is a bit of a shame. Also, the people seem to be quite polite and honest here. In cases like on the new trams where there's no select door entrances, and there's no customer service agent on board. Like my ticket didn't get checked once throughout the 3 days, so I feel like you could get away with it, and yet people still touched in and out. And I feel like if that was in London, if they know they're not going to get checked, they're going to risk it and not pay. Like, I felt quite safe here. I don't really know what the crime rates are, but I feel like I could wander around the city with my phone out and I know it's not going to get snatched. See, in London, any cyclist that passed, I'm going to get worried that they're going to steal my phone. Whereas here, you know, there's 2,000 cyclists passing me a minute. I think I'm going to be okay. And even like walking the streets at nighttime, I didn't have any worry. I don't know if that was just from my personal experience. You know, I was thinking of doing a summer trip to Paris, but now that I've done this, I'm thinking perhaps I should do Paris, perhaps next winter. And what I tend to do throughout winter is a lot of urban London adventures. So it's been nice to do that in a different city for once. Because although it can be quite cold in the winter, I think I've gotten very lucky this time around. Even I'm sat on the beach here and I'm not cold, but you get the added bonuses at this time of year of seeing the city in the dark, which you normally wouldn't get to do mid-June, July. But also the Christmas lights, the Christmas trees, that's been a very pleasant part of it. It's perhaps one of the greatest cities in the world. Admittedly, I've not really been to any outside of the UK, but I've really liked it here. So thank you for coming along with me on what is probably, no, definitely the longest video I've made to date. If you stuck around to the end, a sincere thank you, because I don't know how many people would be interested in seeing me hopping off and on trams for pretty much 3 days straight. And if you like this sort of stuff, then I guess there'll be a plethora of urban London adventures coming throughout the rest of the winter months. So please subscribe if you're interested in that. And my sincere apologies for any mispronunciations, because I'm sure there were loads. Oh, also, by complete chance, I was passing through London Liverpool Street Station a couple of weeks ago. I spotted a plaque by the tube station entrance that I've never seen before. I knew of twin towns, but I never knew that stations could be twinned. London Liverpool Street is twinned with Amsterdam Central. And funnily enough, the date on the plaque is the 2nd of December 1993. Today is the 2nd of December 2025.